I've never seen a diamond in the flesh. I cut my teeth on wedding rings in the movies, and I'm not proud of my address.
We're not just building muscle, we're building men. In the quiet hours, in the unfiltered moments, in the conversations that happen before the world wakes up. This is the Glue-OOM, where brotherhood forms in the dark so we can lead in the light, where vulnerability is strength and leadership is handed from man to man, one story at a time. Our mission is to empower, exhort, and inspire men to achieve their best selves through stories of reinvigorated male community leadership. We bring you weekly interviews with F3 Omaha PAX, ordinary men doing extraordinary things in fitness, fellowship, faith, and leadership, because we believe that every man has a story, and reinvigoration starts when that story is shared. This is the Glue in the Gloom. Shout out to our sponsors, Avior Wealth Management, Liberty Core Real Estate, Major Team Mortgage, Exclusively Eye Care, Omaha Laser Dentistry, and McNamara Law Firm. We appreciate your support. Hey, are you the type of guy that likes to get up early in the winter to battle your Jester? Do you love listening to people drone on and on and on about COVID in the gloom? Would you trust your vision to a guy nicknamed Cataracts? Well, if the answer to any of these questions is yes, fellas, you have bigger problems than you think. Dr. Cataracts, aka Dr. Wolf, can't solve all of your problems, but he can certainly help you solve the problems related to your eye health and vision. You will find many F3 principles throughout his practice. Check him out today at Exclusively Eye Care. Now, let's get back to the gloom. And we're back. I'm super excited. We're at the Nomad, which is a beautiful facility. Again, if you haven't been here, come check it out. But I'm really excited to get this guy's story. Just always remember, even from the beginning, I was thinking about this morning, I get to interview Summer Catch, right? So obviously a site Q at the Helix and part of the world famous sort of Mount Rushmore of site Qs there. But I just remember, there's and I want to be careful how I say this, right? Because I love everybody that comes in F3, but some guys come in and you're sort of like, man, we needed that guy in this group. And that's, I feel like just from the start, getting to know you, watching you lead other men, I've just really loved to kind of watch that journey. And so I'm excited to get your story out there for other guys. And where we like to start off is just that EH journey. So we'd love to know, like, what was that like? And then tell us how you got the name Summer Catch.
Yeah, for sure. And thank you for the warm welcome.
Yeah.
That was not, you're too kind. That was very, what a welcome. And kudos to Armando for a great facility here. This is fantastic. Yeah. So thanks for having me. First off, I just wanted to say, I think this podcast is so cool that it gives, I remember when I was new, it gave me such a cool insight into a lot of the guys' stories. Yeah. So when I was new and discovered the podcast, I'd listen to it every time I mowed. Every time I was shoveling the driveway, anytime I was kind of just had the chance to just listen, I would listen to them all the time on the way to work. And I'd learn so much about the guys. And then I'd see them at coffee and I'd say, hey, how's your dog doing? Yeah. And they'd be like, dude, I don't even know who you are. But it was really cool. It's such a cool kind of window into a lot of the guys' stories. So I just wanted to start off by saying thank you for what you do.
That's the hope.
Yeah, it's very cool. EH story. So like a lot of guys, I think sometimes it takes the second or third guy.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny when I look back. I think the first F3 guy I actually met was LPC. I take it back. I went to school, college with Truant. So I've known Truant forever.
Okay.
At one point I met LPC at a park. I think it was during COVID. Our kids were playing and we got to chatting. And then later I discovered that Truant had been out to F3. And then I think I saw LPC, followed him on Twitter after I met him and saw that he would post a name ram. Yeah. What is this?
Yeah.
And then the guy who probably gets the most credit is Butta. Butta has since moved down to, he's down in Austin. Okay. He's a CFO for a fitness franchise down there. So he's since moved.
Does he go to F3 down there?
He's checked it out a few times. Okay. I think it's a little harder to find a location close to where he's at and where he has to be for work. But it's funny, we were on a flight to Vegas actually in 2020. When was that? 2023. We went down for March Madness.
Okay.
So we ride to the airport together and we're up at 4:00 in the morning because we got to get to the airport by 5:30. And I'm complaining about how little sleep I got. And he said, oh, I'm used to getting up at, 4 something to go work out at F3. And I said, oh, I've heard about that.
Yeah.
And he said, you should come check it out sometime. And I said, oh yeah, it sounds cool. And in my mind, I'm like, I'm never doing that. It was March. So our youngest was about 6 months old at the time.
Okay.
And, we're 0 for 3 on good sleepers. So we had gotten no sleep for weeks and months at a time. And I told him, when she turns 1 though, I'll check it out. Cause that's usually when they start sleeping.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Butta came to her first birthday party in August, the end of August.
Okay.
And he said, hey, do you remember the conversation we had? Yeah.
Nice.
And he said, she's clearly 1 now.
Yeah.
You're announcing it to the world. So you got to come out to F3. I think this is on a Saturday, and the next Friday I went to Combine.
Okay. And
I was already excited about it. I'm one of those guys, like if I think something's a little interesting, I'm immediately all in and then figure it out from there. I did a little bit of research, but I didn't really know what it was. I still kind of thought it was like him and some of his buddies running around a park in the middle of the night. I'm like, well, we'll check it out. And I still remember the second I parked and got out of my car, I was all in because I think there's probably 25 guys there.
Yeah.
And Truett met me there too. He was texting me. It was like 5:15 site at 5:10. He's like, where are you at? Where are you at? And I said, I'm 2 minutes away. So parked and met Butta and Truett there. T-Ball was on the queue.
Okay.
He beat us up with some burpee ladders.
Oh, I bet.
And some
that dude's a hammer.
Yeah, he's a beast. So I was in the worst shape of my life by far. Yeah. So I was struggling. So we did burpee ladders. We ran the track with stations, and then I didn't really know anything that was going on. So at the end we had the COT. I don't remember the COT, but I remember thinking, oh, that's cool that he shared that with us.
Yeah.
And then I got my name. So my name came from, I worked, my first job out of college, graduated in 2009 with a finance degree after finance majors had destroyed the global economy. So I said, I guess I'll start in minor league baseball. So I got an internship in minor league baseball at the end of 2009 and ended up meeting my wife there.
Wow.
So,
like doing finance for Major League Baseball, or?
Yeah, so I was in a 2-person finance department, and I was the number 2 person.
Okay, nice.
So it was the controller and me, and I did all their day-to-day accounting and receivables, payables.
Like for a specific team, or like? It
was for the Royals. Royals became Storm Chasers.
Okay.
So it was actually pretty cool timing because a lot of the guys that came through, or when they won the World Series in 2013, maybe, any Royals fans out there? Yeah. Tell me I'm wrong. I forget what year it was, but all those guys were in Omaha at the same time.
Okay.
So they're a pretty loaded team for a while in Omaha. But yeah, that was kind of my only option in 2009. I started as an intern.
Nice.
Saw every dollar that came in and out of the business. We didn't round. Been into a couple companies since then where we rounded the nearest 1,000. There was no rounding there. But great experience there. And I met my wife there.
Nice.
So I worked full time. During the day, I was an accounting guy, and at night, I managed the ticket takers and the ushers. And if somebody was hurling slurs at the catcher, I got to haul them out of there. Then I'd go and enter my invoices
nice
in the middle of the game. But yeah, I met my wife there. So certainly well worth it.
Yeah.
And Truant actually threw the name out. I was kind of going around in the circle.
Yeah.
Where I grew up from St. Louis, went to school in Lincoln, kind of went through everything. And it took a minute, so I started to go through things again, and Truett said, "Summer Catch."
Yeah.
And I said, "Did you have that? Did you have that queued up?" And he said he didn't. He said, "No, it just came to me." So I think I got pretty lucky.
Is that a movie?
It is a movie.
Okay, yeah, that's what okay.
There's a rom-com from the 90s.
It's like a minor league baseball guy. It's like Freddie
Prinze Jr. And Jessica Biel.
Yeah. Okay.
So he plays in the Cape Cod League. So he goes out to the East Coast to play in the summer league.
Yeah.
And Jessica Biel's out there, and they fall in love, and I haven't seen the movie in a long time, but it's funny. Canadian Bacon came up to me maybe a week or two in. I remember at the Trident, and he said, I did a little bit of research. What are you, like a former pro prospect that married a billionaire's daughter or something? And I said, no, pretty close. I was making about $2 an hour in minor league baseball and met my wife there.
That's awesome.
So that's the origin story.
Oh, I love it. I do like, it seems like in the last maybe 3-4 years now, we ask that question, how'd you meet your wife? And that seems to be usually like a fairly interesting story, or something that we can come up with a name.
Yeah.
That at least your wife will be somewhat of a fan of, right? But it sounds like you like the name. Any issues with it, or?
I love it.
Yeah.
I'm not a great enunciator, so at one point, I think Wait Time thought my name was Summer Kitchen.
Oh yeah,
yeah. But I love it, and I got it. Went home, woke my wife up. I'm like, hey, and we knew enough about it that I was going to get a weird name. Yeah. She's like, "What's your name? What's your name?" And I said Summer Catch, and told her why. She thought that was pretty cool, so she was immediately impressed by F3.
Well, I love it, and I love hearing. It is funny, like it takes a couple guys, and nowadays, I imagine most guys in the community have heard, they're at least familiar somewhat with F3, right? And so then you kind of wonder, like, how many guys have talked to him about it. And I know for me, like, every chance I get, like a random, if you happen to be in one of my kids' classes, or if you're at any of the parks that we go to, I'm going to probably try to EH you. And so no apologies.
I love it.
But so you grew up in St. Louis?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So talk me through, like, growing up, like what was fitness like a part of your life, or maybe in college? Cause I feel like in our conversations, maybe running became a thing you were into at some point, but what was your kind of fitness journey like?
Yeah, great question. So I grew up in St. Louis, and from a fitness perspective, when I was little, I played anything I could get, any sport I could get my hands on, really, or whatever was in season.
Yeah, like big city St. Louis, like you lived in.
So I say St. Louis. We were West County, so we were probably 30 minutes from the Arch.
Okay.
So West County, a little bit outside of St. Louis.
So like a smaller town outside of St. Louis.
It felt a lot like West Omaha, honestly. Okay. Just a suburb of St. Louis.
Nice. Okay.
So grew up in St. Louis and mostly baseball. I played baseball. It's a big baseball town, obviously.
So you could have been in the minors.
Yeah, if I would have blown my shoulder out.
That's my story. Yeah.
So it was all baseball all the time for a long time. And then if it was too cold to play baseball, I'd play basketball.
Okay.
Or I remember I got into soccer in grade school and played a year of soccer in high school, but really wasn't any good. Yeah. I was fast and lanky, so I did okay, but I had no idea what I was doing on the soccer.
I don't know if so I know we have a lot of soccer players out there, but when I was growing up, my baseball coach was like adamant that like baseball players cannot play soccer. Like he would actively like, make fun of the soccer players. And so now when I, am talking with guys like Tonight Show or whoever that play soccer, I'm sort of like, oh yeah, you're that goofy sport that you can't figure out how to throw the ball. So you have to kick it with your feet. And then they tell us that we're the lazy guys on the field. And I don't know, but.
Absolutely. I've got a really good buddy that played soccer through college, and he's got some great self-deprecating terms for soccer players. So if you ever, I can't share them.
I might need a few.
Offline for sure.
I might need a few. Well, so I guess then so after high school and sort of college, like what did you get into any sort of fitness routine, or was F3 sort of like the restart of that?
Yeah. So I played baseball and basketball all the way through college. Through high school.
Oh, okay.
Through high school.
Okay.
And then once I hit college, it was all about intramurals.
Okay.
And I played a lot of intramurals. I was just kind of over it. We played so much baseball growing up, and I have a lot of respect for baseball players because you can fail 70% of the time and make it to the Hall of Fame. Yeah. So it's just a tough sport overall, and it's hard on your body, and it's not a natural motion.
When did you graduate high school?
05.
I wonder, it's funny. I bet we like crossed paths or played in some of the same tournaments or whatever growing up. Cause it sounds like playing 90 to 100 games a summer and all that, traveling for tournaments and stuff. And in the Midwest, we kind of go to the same spots. We'll have to look at that after the interview. We'll have to look that up. Cause I bet there's we played against each other maybe at some point.
We should. It's funny. We were in Kansas City all the time. Felt like we went to Kansas City 4 or 5 times a year, and we'd come up to Omaha every year too.
Okay.
For College World Series time, there was always a big tournament up here. So we were good. I struggled a little bit of a late bloomer.
Yeah.
But our team was good. We won state in Missouri, so we'd come up to we played nationals in Hutchinson, Kansas. I remember one year, and we got 7th in nationals. So we were pretty solid. It was a lot of baseball, but I'm sure we played each other at some point.
What a small world. I love it.
But after high school, the official sports regime, it was done. Yeah. All that kind of routine lifting and running and plyos and stuff. I was still a decent athlete in college, just could kind of get out there and play some intramurals, and then slowly slid downhill into just a unathletic, couldn't run type of guy.
That happens with kids, right?
Yeah.
So you and your wife got married, and then had kids, and were you doing anything before F3 to kind of maintain good health? Or?
Yeah. So if I had an upcoming beach vacation, I could get in pretty good shape.
Oh yeah.
That was always my,
yeah.
so we had we'd sprinkle beach vacations every couple of years in there. So that would be my, okay, we're going to be on the beach in 8 months. I better get in shape.
Yeah.
But then, so I'd get in great shape and then kind of slide out of it after we got back from vacation.
Pogo
So that was
40,
my only motivation. But I think I was in okay shape until I'd go to the gym 3 or 4 times a week until the third kid was pretty tough. And then just being older and not having as much time until I found F3, I was for sure in the worst shape.
Yeah.
So it's been a huge benefit from a fitness perspective.
Well, yeah, I totally agree. It's funny. Like I'm only posting 3 days a week, and on my days off, I lift on my own. And I feel like I say this all the time, but it's just like having other people to push you. Like we did a workout this morning at the combine that, I would never do by myself. Like there's just no way. Like, it's like, but when you're out there with other guys, you're like, I don't know, it's just something motivates you to get after it. But so talk me through like your progression. So the first workout sounds like it was hard, but you were still interested in coming back. So do you remember like where you went, kind of your journey through all the different sites and things?
Absolutely. I have a really good memory about some things and terrible about others. And I remember very clearly the first few weeks. So I had a blast on Friday, went home, and I was so tired, but I was so wired. I was just kind of like started looking at the website and look for other sites. And I texted Truant and Butta. Yeah. So let's get back out on Monday. It's a holiday anyway. Let's go get out. And they said, I didn't really know anything about the maps or the sites or workouts or whatever. And they said, well, let's go to Coronado. That's a bruiser friendly one. Holiday weekend. We'll get up early, get a little workout in and have the day off. So we get to Coronado and 5 core principles. It's like second time I'm hearing them. So I'm like, okay, I think I kind of get what's going on here. And we take off running, and they start looking at each other, and they're like, oh shoot, I think we're at Red Wings. And I'm like, what does that mean? Is that bad? What is that? And we run by a group of guys, and they're on scooters. I forget who was leading that workout, but might have been Mufasa, because Butta knew him. He's like, oh shoot, I think we meant to be with those guys, and they're goofing around at Coronado. And then I had no idea what was going on, but we run off into the woods and end up doing Murph. And it kicked my butt so bad. And I didn't know what we split off, and I went to do pull-ups, and I'm like, I got to do 100 pull-ups right now. I think I did like 6 terrible pull-ups, and then they're like, go do some Merkins. And I'm like, what's a Merkin? Yeah. So it absolutely kicked my butt, and it was a really hard workout. And I used the still shot of my face from Namarama for my 1 year. I cued my 1 year at Red Wings and used that in my pre-blast of just how like shell shocked it was. I had no idea what was going on. And I was about 20 pounds heavier. And
had you heard of a Murph before, or was that okay?
I had no idea what it was.
Yeah.
What we were doing.
Some guys know what a Murph is, and they from like CrossFit or whatever. And if you ever watch those guys, right, on the CrossFit games, they'll have like a 30-pound vest on.
Oh yeah,
and those guys are still running like a sub-7 mile, and they have people there telling them, no rep, and all that sort of stuff. So it's modified Murph, but still a like really hard workout.
It is. If anybody saw my pull-ups, they'd still say no rep. Rep on them, but I'm getting pretty close.
Did you do? So was it one of the holidays where we do like multiple Murphs? Like it was like a Memorial Day, Labor Day things.
Yeah, it would have been. I think so. Anyway, it was Memorial or Labor Day. Okay. It was Labor Day weekend. Yeah. So I assumed they had already done 1 or 2 by the time we rolled in, and I had no idea what was going on. And they hadn't. I think Butta was fairly new. He had been coming out for maybe 6 months, but but posted mostly down like Southwest. Okay. And Truant was more so like maybe like once every other week or something like that. Sure. So they didn't. None of us knew what we were doing. Yeah, we took off.
That is funny.
I just know they got nervous, and I was unsure why they're so nervous.
And then you quickly figured it out. Yeah.
Yeah. But it was a lot of fun. And that kind of, I didn't do another one for 2 months probably, but I progressively got in better shape and attempted it again. And then in 2024, I made that my personal challenge. Yeah. I remember I did one on New Year's Day. It was the 3rd one I'd ever done, but I'm like, I'm going to do one on New Year's Day. And I'm gonna do 50 this year. I said it at coffee to Star-Lord. That was a huge mistake, because he goes, 50, you should do 100. And I'm like, wow. Because in my mind, I'm like, 50, I'll take 2 weeks off for vacation. I'll do one every Monday. I said, no, you should do 100. And I said, I don't know if I can do I don't think I should do that. It sounds like a terrible idea. And he goes, no, you should do 150 actually. And I said, never. Okay, I'll do 100. So then 2024, that became my goal to do 100 Murphs.
Oh, wow.
So it was kind of fun.
Did you hit the goal?
I did. I hit 100 on the dot and didn't do another one. I hit 100 in November, I think, and didn't do the 100.
Have you done any this year?
I've probably done 10 this year.
Okay.
So I tried to get, or wait, no, where are we in the year? I've probably gotten up to 15 or so by now. Yeah. I tried to start running after I did the 100. I tried to get into running a little bit more, especially and then my routine was Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, and I would either Murph or Smurf almost all of those days.
Oh, wow.
And then I got when I took over the Helix on Tuesdays, it kind of like moved my schedule around. So I'm like, well, and I wanted to do the Helix pre-run, the 5-mile pre-run. So I said to myself, if I'm pre-running 5 miles on Tuesday, I better not Murph on Monday. Right. Just being, weak, lazy.
Yeah.
And then after that, I couldn't Smurf on a Wednesday. So it kind of knocked off my Murph game. But no, it was a great challenge. Be careful what you tell Star-Lord.
Yeah.
He will say, no, you can do that.
He'll hold you to it. Yeah.
But we had a lot of fun.
One of the things I would be curious your experience, because it, like, we have 80 plus sites now, and then we have we have Murphs, and we have running AOs, and we have rucking AOs, and then we have low impact, and then we have coupons, and now we're adding more weight sites. Like, how did you navigate that as a new guy? Like, just leaning on Truin and Butta, or was it like it just show up and figure it out, or how did you kind of go through that?
Yeah, I'd say the first probably 5 or 6 workouts, I'd always text one of those guys and meet them somewhere.
Okay.
So I'd go find them, and I remember probably my 3rd or 4th beatdown, we went to the maze. Okay. It was closer to Butta's house, and Laser Jet just absolutely put it.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. And I'm like, I think this is going to be good for me. So probably three of my first 4 workouts, if not all 4, were just killers. And I knew it was worth it to get up that early in the morning and go do this. And especially as I got to meet some of the guys, then I'd say, like, I'd notice, I'd start to follow everything on Twitter, and I'd work out with the guy and then see he was viewing somewhere. Yeah. So then I'd go over there. Yeah. So probably after the first 6 or 7 beatdowns meeting those guys, I just started saying, hey, I'm going to go tomorrow. Do you guys want to come with me?
Yeah. Because they weren't posting as much as you were able to, right? Or as you wanted to.
Yeah. Or maybe just weren't as, I tend to, like, if I like something a little bit, I like kick the door. If the door's ajar, like, I'm kicking it open and running in. So I was kind of all in and trying to get them to come out more. Yeah. And I think they both started coming out more slightly after that. But yeah, it was fun to just look at the Q schedule and see, look at guys on the schedule, and if it fit that day, I just start showing up and getting to know the guys at coffee too made it a lot easier to just walk into a circle where I didn't maybe think I was going to know anybody.
I love it. It's so funny. Like, probably the best, just show up. Right. Yeah. And then as you get to know other guys, it's like, kind of move around. We used to be more intentional maybe about getting guys to go to travel. And with so many sites, like, you kind of have a mix, right? Some guys can travel and will go everywhere. Some guys need to stay close to home. And so I think it's almost the best of both worlds. But what, when you think about, like, where you were at when you started and just sort of where you're at today, like, what sort of progress do you feel like you've made? Do you feel like you've hit some of your goals, or you're in a good spot now? Or?
Yeah, for sure. From a fitness perspective, I think, just biologically getting up that early and kind of starting the furnace, or, I don't know all the technical terms for metabolism, but just getting up early and getting a good workout in also forced me to eat slightly better. I'm still a terrible eater, but I'm like, well, as long as I was up at 4:30, I should probably not eat that for dinner. I should eat this instead. So they kind of diet and exercise went hand in hand. I still think I can get to maybe the best shape of my life at some point. I'm maybe never what I was in high school basketball when I could dunk. I don't think that'll ever happen again, but I could see myself continuing to get into running and get in really good shape. Maybe not the best ever, but be the fit.
Have you ran into any injuries along the way, or anything that kind of helped, like, put a halt on some of that, or what's that been like?
A little bit along the way. I think just being dumb and diving in head first. I remember I had never run more than 2 miles in my entire life before the turkey trot of 2023. And I remember I got there about 45 seconds late. So it takes a lot of effort to catch
Yeah.
catch a race that started 45 seconds before. So, and I just ran the 5K, but I'm like, I'm going to run my first 5K ever.
Yeah.
So I tried to catch him, and I finally caught him like as we were
Like
kind
right
of
at the
finished.
end.
I passed a couple guys along the way, and I finally caught like maybe some people in the group at the finish line, and I dinged up my like calf, Achilles, wherever they meet.
Okay.
So I kind of just dealt with that through the winter. A little painful to run, but pushed it a little too hard, too fast, I think.
Yeah.
And then found some PT videos on Instagram for the exact thing I had. So I kind of rehabbed on my own.
Nice.
The cheap way. And then that's as I kind of came out of that little injury, that's when the Murphs started to take off in 2024. So
okay.
Which was a little bit less running. So I think I could recoup a little bit.
Yeah.
So yeah, that one dinged me up. And then this year had a little hip flexor deal earlier in the year. I actually set a goal to run. I ran my first half in October of 24.
Okay.
And being dumb, I'm like, I'm going to do one a month.
Yeah.
In 2025. And I did January, missed February halfway house because it turns out there's not a whole lot of days in February.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So the last halfway house of the month, I didn't know it was halfway house the next day until like 11 o'clock on Saturday.
Because you were thinking that you had another week.
Yeah, I'm like, it's the 22nd. There's no way that's the last Saturday or Sunday of the month. So it's funny. I missed that one, but I'd only done one. So I'm like, I'm going to keep this going. So it's funny. I actually texted. I wanted to give kudos for my first half to Speed Bump and Bouncer.
Oh yeah,
like what a couple of just awesome guys that gave me all the tips I needed and where I needed to put Vaseline if I was going to be running 13 miles.
Yeah.
So shout out to those guys for making me think that I could actually run a half. That was probably the biggest leap in fitness progression I've made.
Okay.
Ever. I never would have thought I would.
Did you train or did you work up, like do a 10K or you just?
No, I'm dumb.
Okay.
So
5K and then a half.
I ran a few pre-runs, but I was Murphing all the time. So I did not a ton of pre-runs, but when I became site Q at Helix in August, I started running that 5 miler.
Yeah.
And I'm dumb. So I'm like, if I can run 5, I can run 13. Like, what's the difference? Turns out there's a huge difference, but 8 miles or so.
Yeah.
But so I ran my first half, and then I had the goal to run a half every month. In the end, then I missed the February one. But and then I looked at the Q schedule. I'm like, I'm going to pre-run a half just to be really dumb.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And I looked at the schedule and I couldn't make it work. And I had one of the guys I brought out, Moses on the east side. He had his VQ on Friday at the Brickyard.
Okay.
And I'm like, you know what? I could probably take that Friday off, pre-run a half, and then go to I didn't want to miss his VQ.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, there's nobody dumb enough to run a half with me at 3 o'clock in the morning. So I sent out a group text and immediately Favre and Bouncer were like, yeah, I'll do it.
Yeah.
So
if you get those guys, yeah.
It was awesome. So kudos to those guys. So I was able to sneak one in February.
Nice.
Got my February half done. About died trying to make it back to we had 45 seconds and we had to get over to the 5 core principles and everything. And it was a VQ. So I'm like, I got to get there. So I about passed out when I got to the circle, but that was great. And then did one in March, and then I got kind of digged up my hip flexor and fell off. So I haven't done another half since, but it's 100% credit goes to F3 for making me think that I could even run more than 2 miles, let alone start knocking out a half a month. So that's F3, seeing you guys that know what you're doing and knowing how to run and the form and everything, and the mumble chatter along the way has made running super fun. I love it.
There, I know some guys, like Cataracts, I think has done a half every month since 2021 when we launched Halfway House or whatever. And I think he was injured and he was rucking, but would still do the 13 miles. And so, we've tried to add that, in my mind, it's like, let's get the ruckers out, so whenever I get to host that. Sundays are tough for me to get out though, but man, I used to run a lot more. Now I'm just terrified of mountain lions out where I live. So I don't run as much, although that'd be a really cool way to go if if that was my story. Do you remember Plague? He got eaten by a mountain lion. But
we'd have to go find that mountain lion and put it on a flagpole and we'd bring it around all the sites.
That would be awesome. It'd be hard to find, right? But anyway, so we're kind of where I was going as you think about because you mentioned it sort of right there, right? A couple things like coffee and then just kind of the mumble chatter. But I also hear kind of in this journey, like you pretty quickly, like you had some guys that brought you in, but then you made some other relationships that were able to kind of help keep you engaged. But how did you know some of those guys, or were you just kind of outgoing and asking questions, or how did you go about sort of building relationships and that fellowship piece?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think there was a couple guys that I knew. So I knew Break Room because he and Truant went to school together. So I knew Break Room, just tailgating with him or whatever.
Did you know his dad?
I did not know that it was. I think I officially met Q-Tip before I met Break Room in F3.
Okay.
And it took me a minute to make that connection. So that was really cool. And Q-Tip lives in my neighborhood.
That's awesome.
I was walking the dog a couple weeks ago, and he's got his detailing business.
Yeah.
And I saw somebody out like cleaning their car, and I like to keep my car nice and clean too.
Yeah.
So I see this guy, and I'm going to go say something to him, and I'm like, "Oh, that's Q-Tip."
Yeah.
And he was detailing an F3 guy's car.
Yeah.
So that was cool.
He did. By the way, he does a great job from what I hear. I've not ever had him detail my car, but I mean, there's a reason he is named Q-Tip, I think. But anyway, sorry.
I'm sure he does a great job.
Yo, Gloom listeners, it's your boy, The Plague. Let me talk to you about our brother, Amazin, a.k.a. Patrick McNamara with McNamara Law Firm right here in Old Town Elkhorn. Amazin serves as outside counsel for small business owners, helping to form contracts, review agreements, and provide practical advice that keeps you focused on growth. He also works with families to create living trusts that protect your kids and safeguard what you've built. Reach out to our brother Amazin today at McNamara Law Firm and start putting the right plan in place for your business, your family, and your future. Yeah.
I think so. Initially, I had a couple guys where it was great to just go. Like I knew somebody was going to be there that I would know. And then, you split off in the groups and do a workout with guys that you didn't plan on getting to know, and you just get to know them. And I think part of it is just F3 naturally selects for guys that are going to do hard things and want to better themselves. And it leads to really good conversation. And so just the guys made it easy to get to know them really well. Beyond that, we're just still in a shield lock. It might be the biggest one in F3 Omaha. I think everybody says that, but at one point, Papa Smurf said, "Hey, you should join our shield lock." And I said, "I have no idea what that is, but I'll do it." Yeah, why not? What do we do? So there's probably 12 of us in there. Oh, yeah. So we had and then Star-Lord put I forget what the texting app is. WhatsApp. Yeah. So we had so then that's 12 more guys that are saying, "Hey, I'm going to Top Rope tomorrow." Yeah. And I'd say, "Okay, well, at least I know one guy that's going to be there." Yeah. So that helped really get me out over that.
Was that pretty early on? Or?
Yeah.
Okay.
That was probably, so I started in September. That was probably in early November or so. Yeah. So it was just maybe 12 more guys that I knew might be where I was going to be. And then I tried to go to coffee as much as I can. So then you meet guys at coffee and they say, "Hey, I'm queuing Combine this week. You should be there." And naturally, again, I'm like, okay, I'm in. What do we, I don't know exactly what that means, but I'm in. That's awesome. So I think just showing up. I just kept trying to show up. Yeah. Because you never know what's going to happen when you show up.
But you're pretty outgoing, right? So were you kind of sparking up conversations, or you feel like just guys were bringing you in and engaging you in some of that stuff, or how did you approach that? Because some guys, part of why I ask, right? Some guys come in and they're all on board, but they're maybe a little more introverted or just don't know how to like insert themselves or get, but I don't know what was your approach?
Yeah, that's a great question. I actually think some days I think I'm an introvert. Some days I think I'm an extrovert.
Okay.
The way that F3 is set up though, where you start off right off I'm sometimes kind of quiet in the circle because I'm like just out of bed and I'm like, it's the first thing we're going to talk about. But right when we get into the beatdown, and you can either complain about it or ask like, "What are we doing?" Or it's kind of like breaks down that initial wall. Yeah. And then it just makes it a lot easier to kind of talk to the guys. And so I think the fitness component of it is great for allowing guys to be more outgoing, because
it kind of creates that space.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Just kind of the initial conversation, and then bam, it's flowing.
Yeah, I think there is something to that. And I think, as like when you're queuing, trying to design a workout that allows for those opportunities, like if there's a group, if you're breaking into groups or you're, I think when I first started F3, I would do a lot more workouts that were like, okay, everybody's doing this sort of on your own, and then sort of as I learned what I liked, it's sort of like, okay, well, how do we pair guys up or put guys in a situation where they have an opportunity for mumble chatter? And now thinking about the workout this morning, I didn't really do that, but there were 8 of us there, and it was perfect, because of this, you just have that feel of like, all the guys are in it together. But when you think about, so you mentioned shield lock. The 12-person shield lock, I think, is like an amazing tool to like bring guys in, but would be curious, like, do you feel like you got to the level of maybe like accountability or vulnerability with that large of a shield lock, or do you have sort of like a sub shield lock, or how have you navigated that?
Yeah, I think it's cool that there's not a rule for what this shield lock
Yeah.
needs to look like. You
Yeah.
just, I think that we recommend guys join them because it's helpful for accountability.
Yeah.
And for me, especially early on, it was great to, those guys would ask, hey, where are you going tomorrow?
Yeah.
And I didn't want to say, well, you know, I went yesterday, so I'm not going to go tomorrow. I'd say, all right, I'm in, and we're going here, I'm in. So the accountability right off the bat was great.
Yeah.
And then some of the Murphers, Smurfers kind of spun out of that shield lock.
Oh, yeah.
So that was a great accountability group. We did a Friendsgiving last a couple Novembers ago, and it was great just to get our families together. But right off the bat, it was great for, I'd say accountability and just guys asking, because I probably could have fallen off the map a little bit when the winter started, but those guys especially were saying, hey, where are we going tomorrow?
Where are you going?
So that was great.
Love it.
Early on.
And I think that group, like when I watch some of the guys in that group, like they're pretty engaged, asking good questions and probably getting the group to talk about things that are maybe deeper than most 12-person groups of friends, you know, like I would imagine that you guys have been able to do that. The other piece, like thinking about the Concentrica and some of those other relationships kind of in that fellowship realm, like your relationship with your wife or your kids, have you noticed any impact there? What's been maybe start us with, so you've got 3 kids. Talk us through like how long you've been married and boys, girls, all that sort of stuff. I'd love to know.
Yeah, absolutely. So my wife and I met at the ballpark in 2011. We got married in 2014. And then we had our first daughter, Logan, in 2016.
Okay.
Second daughter, Riley, in 2018.
Yeah.
And third daughter, Elena, in 2022.
Yeah.
So three girl dad times 3.
That's the best way to do it.
Yeah.
You know, Dread is also, so Dread, one of the founders of F3, also has 3 girls, and our current F3 Nation Nantan Dark Helmet also has 3 girls. So there is something, you know, special about that.
I might have a bias, but I think it's the best way to go. Right.
For sure.
I love it. And those girls they're better to me than I deserve.
Yeah.
So I love it. So we've been married for over 10 years now, 3 kids. We're kind of out of the baby stage. They're 9, 7, and 3 now.
Okay.
So they're just a ton of fun. And it's been helpful for me to go like early in the morning before they're up. So I picture, you know, my wife and the kids are sleeping in their nice warm beds, and I'm out there running around in minus 10-degree temperature. I like that it gives me something to accomplish early in the day.
Yeah.
I'm one of those guys, if I'm not actively accomplishing something, I tend to beat myself up a little bit.
Yeah.
So although I'd come home and wonder why everybody was still awake at 9 o'clock and be frustrated at times. I'm like, I got to get up in 6 hours.
Yeah.
Maybe I was a little more tired at times, but it's certainly made me a better husband and father because I've kind of gone off and accomplished if things didn't go right at work that day, that happens all the time, but at least I had accomplished something and I could kind of come home, walk a little taller through the door and enjoy my time with them more. So I think it's made me more present, even though I have to go to bed at 9:45.
I'm constantly, my wife is a night owl. And so I'm constantly like, if I fall asleep when I'm putting the kids to bed, I get in trouble for that. And then if I stay up, she'd like to stay up till like 11:30 some nights. And I'm like, I can't get up and go do a pre-run at 4, at 4 a.m. if I'm going to bed at 11, even though sometimes I do. It just depends, right? If I wake up. What, you made a little bit of a comment there and something we maybe don't always go into enough, but like the last ring, right, on that Concentrica is that relationship with work. And you kind of mentioned like you can be hard on yourself if you're not accomplishing something. Like talk me through like your relationship with work. Cause I feel like some of our conversations have maybe been in that space. Like how do we get work into this like healthy rhythm and not overstepping the family stuff? But how has F3 maybe impacted the way you see work?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I'm in a leadership position at work. We're very fortunate to have a leadership position. And it is, I hope my team would say this. I'm confident saying that it certainly made me a better leader.
Yeah.
Just because you get such a risk-free way to lead a group of people early in the morning.
Yeah.
Granted, they all want to be there, but nobody's getting paid to be at F3.
Yeah.
But they all came there willingly. But you have to plan, lead, execute. You have to
Mhm.
do all those things in a very low risk setting.
Yeah.
So it gives you awesome opportunities to think about how you would lead a meeting,
Yeah.
or leads maybe somebody outside of your team down a path that they have a bigger priority. They don't want to do it.
Mhm.
Kind of like when you tell people we're going to go run a mile as the warmer ammo, they might not want to do it. So you have to find ways to encourage people and align people. So it certainly helped give me all those reps to go and try to be a better leader at work.
I love it.
There's days where I am absolutely wiped out in the afternoon, but man, in the mornings if I get up and I pre-run and I do the beat down and I get coffee and I come to work and I've already been up for 4 hours, like I am ready to go in the mornings.
Yeah.
And then I hit 3 o'clock and I have to make sure that it's more answering emails or maybe more, I can't have an important presentation at 3 o'clock because I'm going to wiped out
Yeah.
and spent for the day, but it's absolutely helped.
I love it. And, I think, that's part of the hope. I think one of the interesting things, like, when you ask, like, well, why isn't F3 on the Concentrica, or like, where is F3? Where does it fit? And I think the whole goal is that, like, F3 would be teaching us stuff that we apply to all those places. So it's more of like this movement that teaches us how to be better in all those relationships. And it's funny. I was telling somebody at work the other day, I forget what we were even talking about, but I just naturally went into, like, well, yeah, this is like the leadership development process. And I basically laid out what Q-Source talks about. And like, pretty soon I'm going to have an F3 guy on my team that's going to be like, hey, I know where you got that. But I would love to hear too, like, Q-Source, I feel like, was something that you maybe got engaged with early on. What would you say to guys that maybe are not familiar with that or haven't checked that out yet?
Yeah, I think that's what I love about Q-Source is it facilitates some discussion right off the bat.
Yep.
I love coffee where you're going to show up and you have no idea what you're going to talk about. Somebody's struggling with something with their spouse or children, or struggling with something at work. Who knows what you're going to get into. But with Q-Source, and I always posted at Combine for the first probably year plus. I was always at Combine and always look forward to the Q-Source. I like the guided discussion, just because you could really kind of drill down into something, and what a bunch of great guys to ask hard questions to.
Yeah.
Some days I just sit back and listen the whole time. Some days I'll think I finally thought of something smart to say, and I'll say it, and half the time it actually came out that way, and half the time it didn't. But
like, yeah, we just said that.
Yeah. No, but it's been great. And it's funny that you talk about using F3 components and putting it in other parts of your life. I think it is kind of a microcosm for life. Like, you got to show up, and it's going to be hard. Like, marriage is hard, parenting is hard, work is hard, everything is hard. But you can either choose to not show up at all, or you can show up and complain about it, or you can show up and you can make the best out of every situation. I think we do a great job of doing that, especially when people queue. They're always excited. Nobody sleeps before they queue, which is still the coolest thing ever, I think. A bunch of grown men that can't sleep because they have to lead recess the next day. But yeah, it feels kind of like a microcosm for life, and you just get those reps. When you get those reps, it's easier to go and act on it throughout the rest of the day in the real world.
Yeah. And that's sort of the process, right? You get opportunity or rep after rep, and then you fail and you adjust the next time, and you just keep doing that. And I think the number of, like, the interesting thing for me doing F3 for so many years is, like, just like Q-Source, every time you go, even if it's the same chapter, it, like, the way it hits you kind of changes. Those lessons hit you differently based on the season of life you're in. And so it's like, I've queued, I don't know, 400 times. Right. But like, I'm still, like, even this morning, like, there's a lot of takeaways on, like, okay, here's like the comment I just made, right? Like, get people in groups so they can talk. Well, I need to actually apply that, So it's just, it's just a beautiful, the way it's designed is super helpful.
Yeah.
This morning we did Q-Source, and it was on the Jester and this, essentially where we landed as a group, right? It's like, we all have a Jester, but it's and the Jester has, they talk about all the lies that the Jester wants you to believe. And one of the most common ones that we were talking about this morning was just the Jester wants you to believe that you that you shouldn't share what you're going through. And so it was just really cool. Liberty Core Real Estate is your homegrown real estate broker. If you're looking to buy or sell real estate, whether personal or investment, Armando, aka Brian, and Megan Michaels' company is ready to serve you. With Command Center in Old Town Elkhorn and agents all throughout the metro, they are more than ready to guide and serve you in your next real estate endeavor. Whether your next move needs to happen now or in 5 years, call or text Armando at 402-770-2165 to get your questions answered. And a special offer for F3 Nation PAX members, Liberty Core will donate $250 to your sponsor of choosing for every closed transaction. Stop looking, start finding today with Liberty Core Real Estate. And it's sort of leading into like this kind of the topic of faith or the third F, and just would love to hear like what's your journey been like. Would love to hear like kind of as a kid and sort of all that. What's been the faith journey for you?
Yeah, that's a great question, and I like how we acknowledge the Jester.
Yeah,
it's not a mythical thing. I think from a theology perspective, it's the devil telling you you're not good enough, and you're not good enough, and you shouldn't tell anybody that you think that because they're gonna think differently about you. So don't share it. So I like that we acknowledge that. From a faith perspective, I grew up in a Christian household. Very fortunate to grow up in a family where we talked about Jesus, and went to a Lutheran grade school and a Lutheran high school where we went to school, and they told us every day, Jesus loves you. So I was looking back, I definitely didn't appreciate it.
Yeah.
I just thought I was going to school and having to go to, theology class
wear a
at 9
uniform.
o'clock.
Did you have to wear a uniform too?
I don't think we did. I think they do now.
Okay.
But we never did. But I'm very fortunate to have the foundation of the world's going to chew you up and spit you out. Bad things are going to happen. But God can turn it into use that for his good. So just kind of look at it from that perspective. Grew up, went to a Lutheran grade school, Lutheran high school, went to college. Stop me if you've heard this one before. Was a total idiot in college for most of my 20s.
Tell me more. I've not heard many guys that go through that. I don't know. It seems unique to you. No, but would love to hear. Yeah. So keep going.
No. So got to college and kind of lost the routine of going to church. I mean, we were going to football games and all the parties were on Saturday night. So, I stopped going to church and stopped kind of, I never lost my faith. I would still, pray at times. And when things were tougher, that's, I think, when I would lean on it more. And when things were good, I had it figured out, so I didn't have to think about it.
Mm-hmm.
So throughout my 20s, I think I probably, like a lot of guys, just thought like I had it figured out. So I didn't really need to think about that as much. And then certainly having children is what like reignited the spark. I always explain it as when I look at my kids, how much I love them, and then think about like how much God loves me, and it's not even comparable. And when the kids do something that they're not supposed to do, and I have to find a way to discipline them, and they don't like me for it, like having that perspective too, it's like, well, sometimes you need some discipline, and from the big guy. So it's just been helpful for me to have that background and perspective on things, and I hope that I can still have that mentality when things go wrong. Because life is messy, and we talk about the Jester. When we're on Earth, things, there's evil in the world. Things go terribly wrong. So it's important to have the faith that God can use that bad for some good.
I love it. And we were, again, this morning, we were talking about, like it just becomes, it's apparent, right? We all have this Jester, and then, they kind of talk about pride being like the ultimate sort of like the king of all, Jesters, and just the number of things that are rooted in that. And I can't help but in my mind, like everything is Genesis 3, right? It's like, well, that's because of the fall, and now sin's infected everything. And, and so, but like to still have hope in that, right? That like, if I truly surrender. So I love that. I would be curious, and you don't have to share if you don't want to, but any comments about a Jester, like anything that you have maybe struggled with that maybe you found help through F3, or found other guys that can maybe just help you're not alone, anything in that space?
Yeah, that's it. For sure. I'm trying to think of some specific ones. I think, I don't know what it would technically be called, but I mentioned before, if I'm not actively accomplishing something, that I'm not a complete failure, but a failure.
Yeah.
So, in seasons of life when things aren't moving quickly or things don't seem like they're going well, I
Mm,
think it's easy for me to beat myself up and be
yeah.
patient or respect the process or whatever. Um, so I tend to get down. I'm my worst critic, I think, and
Yeah.
I tend to beat myself up. A lot of times I've been fortunate that it hasn't, I've had people to pick me up along the way that I haven't gone down, tough paths, to maybe cope for that. But one thing I wanted to call it too is I love that you always share your story.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's so cool because, the lie that you would be whispered in your ear is like, "Don't tell anybody about that. You're
Oh,
the only
yeah.
one that suffer with that."
Yeah.
And we've talked before, I have a close family member that had, some struggles with alcohol, and
Yeah.
I came to you because thankfully you'd shared your story. And I'm
Yeah.
like, what a better guy to go to than Plague. I'm like, let me go talk to Plague and just see what I can do because I think I
Yeah.
know how I want to fix it. I like, oh, I've
Yeah.
got a plan. Let me lay out this
Yeah.
plan and then it'll be fixed. But I knew quickly that that's not how it works. So
Yeah.
I've been very thankful to be able to have some of those conversations with you
Yeah.
and hopefully be helpful in that situation.
Yeah, it's really tough, and I don't know, I'm assuming there are maybe some jesters, right, where it's like, "Oh, yeah, here are the 5 steps to, like, fix that one," or some things you can put in place, but with addiction, like, at least for me, and I don't know, I can only speak to my journey, but it literally took my wife, like drawing a line in the sand. And so like, if I think I would say like to spouses, like set some healthy boundaries because oftentimes it's going to feel wrong, but those will be the things that will likely push that person to make the right decision. And then it's just, how do you love the heck out of people no matter what? It's so hard. It's so hard. I've got, I've definitely had a lot of friends that have gone through that. And then, and then I think eh, reminding people of the reality of that lifestyle is, in 12-step programs, right? They always say like jails, institutions, or death, right? Like those are the 3 ends to a lifestyle, of substance abuse. And I think, it is so cool because when I get to share my story and then I hear somebody else that's like, this morning we just heard one of the guys that was there was like just celebrating 18 months sober. Just, it's like, man, if I could just let other guys know it's okay to share your story too, like that's the whole point. But we talked about that. The Jester is in your ear, sort of like I vividly remember having coffee with Wait Time, who at the time was like a chief level executive at my work. And
Mhm.
the story in my head was, even if you tell this guy you're gonna get fired, right? Like because
Mhm.
he's gonna go, and it was the total opposite. It was
Yeah.
like, oh my gosh, like great, I was like 5 days clean at that point, and so I would just encourage guys that are listening to just keep sharing those stories because there's so much strength there. I would be curious, for you, it's almost like like success maybe, or, I think what we're reading this Wild at Heart book, there's a book study out in Northwest. And one of the things that I'm learning is, my whole life, I've defined my identity and sort of purpose and value based on worldly terms, like achievements, success, job titles. And what God's sort of teaching me right now is like, I created you as a man, and I want to like build you into who I created you to be. And it doesn't involve any of that stuff. But I don't know
Mhm.
if that's been a challenge for you, like just the success factor of things.
Yeah, I think as men, it's easy for us to measure ourselves by our
Yeah.
title or our, our mile time or,
Yeah.
or our
Yeah.
net worth
Yeah.
or whatever it may be. And ultimately those things are all fleeting.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're all gonna die someday.
Yeah.
I had my COT yesterday was make the dash count. So on our
Oh
tombstone,
yeah.
at some point there's gonna be 1986 dash something,
Oh,
and
I
it's all
love
about
it.
the dash.
Yeah.
So it's easy to look back and like I can look back at other times in my maybe career where it was very stressful and I look back and what did I should have been like thoughtful and thinking about it and obviously
Yeah.
planning, but I didn't have to let it bother me too much because things tend to work out if you put the work in. So I think I've been doing a much better job, especially seeing my kids and how fast they're growing up.
Yeah.
I'm like, and there's a baseline. Like I can't let things slip it career wise or anything. Um, but I think you can have both. You can have a, you know, become successful be a great parent, be a great husband. Hopefully I need to certainly work on both of those, but I think that those two things will only happen if you have a relationship with God in the right place, because any plan you have that's not in his plan, that's not going to happen anyway.
Yeah.
So I think, being around other guys that are bold about their faith and share their stories has helped me. And one thing I wanted to make sure to call out was New Year's Day this year. It was on a Wednesday, so we went to Catalyst.
Oh yeah.
And it was funny. New Year's Day the year before, I'm like, I'm Murphing all year. So I Murphed on New Year's Day. This year I'm running. So I'm running on New Year's Day. And I was, I had a goal. I had the fitness goal was to run a half every month. And my faith goal was to read the Bible this year.
Oh, wow.
And I just figured, I'll just kind of like put my head down and figure it out and just read however many pages, divide it by 365 and read that many pages. And we were finishing up the run, and I was running with cheap seats. And I told him this, and he goes, "Dude, you should do the Bible in a Year podcast with Father Mike Schmitz."
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, that sounds like a good idea. So it was day one, and that day I went home and listened to it, and it's an incredible format for learning about the Bible and reading it in context.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of times somebody will pull a verse out and they're like, "How can you be a Christian if this word is in the Bible or this phrase is in the Bible?" So reading it in context, and a lot of it's translation stuff. So it might have a word you're like, "Oh, that feels," but they're like, "Well, the Greek word for this is this, and this is what was happening at the time." Anyway, so reading the Bible. So I'm almost 10 months in now, and it's been really helpful for it's about half an hour, maybe 25 minutes a day.
Yeah.
About 10 minutes of reading, and then about 10 minutes of what did I just read? I'm not smart enough to understand that. So what does that mean, and what's the context of it, has been incredibly beneficial.
That's
so I
awesome.
think getting those things, getting fitness right, getting faith right, have kind of you have those kind of two big boulders in place. I think the rest of the stuff, there's going to be problems, but I'm confident that I can solve whatever the problem is that comes up.
I love it. Yeah. I think what I've seen some guys do, right, is like accelerate fitness, accelerate fellowship, right? So I'm healthier and I'm more fit and I have a bunch of friends. And then the faith piece is like, not really, so I think we're trying, and I love the guys leading the third F space, because it just, continue to get opportunities to accelerate in that area. And I told the guys this morning, I don't necessarily care what you believe. Like, I'm just glad you're here, but you've got to be, whatever you believe, you got to be like studying it more and learning more about it and figuring out how that helps you make decisions. And, and I think we just have such a great opportunity, because a lot of guys, right, that you mentioned that like gap between growing up in church and then college. And for some guys that getting back into it never happens, right? And so then they come to F3, and that's maybe the first time that they're being exposed to some different ways that you could go about your faith, which I love. Would also love to hear, so your our mission, right, invigorate male community leadership. So we're a leadership organization, and you got to be a site Q. You also probably did a VQ along the way, but would love to sort of hear what your experience was like, and sort of would also love to hear, like, and you commented a little bit, but how did those leadership opportunities maybe translate to other areas of leadership in your life?
Yeah. So I'll start with the VQ since that happened first. So it was the middle of December of 23. So I'd been coming out for about 3 months, and barbershop. And I always went to the combine. Yep. So barbershop's like, "We got to get you on the schedule, get you a VQ." And I said, "Cool, sign me up. I don't know what I'm going to do, but
by that point you were in. Yeah.
And like I said, I'll say yes and I'll figure it out later. So I put me on the schedule, and a couple weeks out, I started thinking I should probably start thinking about this a little more. And the weather is going to be perfect for mid-December. It was supposed to be like 38, clear skies. Nice. Like, oh, good. There's probably going to be a handful of guys that'll come out. This will be a good time. Yeah. And I woke up. Well, I didn't sleep at all that night, like everybody does. And I looked at my watch, and it said it was sleeting. And I was like, that's weird. I must have the wrong zip code on here. Yeah. Nope. It was a pop-up sleet storm had come through, and instead of 38, it was like 31. Okay. So it was freezing rain. And I'm like, oh, that's a bummer. Hopefully still get a few guys out there. Nope. I pull in at 5:10, and there's like 20 cars there that are already pre-running. Okay. So I just thought that was the coolest thing, the level of support. And I knew I was going to get plenty of trouble along the way when I fumbled the intro or whatever. But was cool to have that level of support. And I over prepared the heck out of that thing, and I was ready to go and modified something because the weather wasn't great. So I think the VQ went pretty well and just had a ton of fun.
Yeah.
And Tater and I were talking at coffee afterwards, and he's like, how cool was that? And it was a lot of fun, and it was almost kind of a bummer that I wasn't going to have another one, but I was also glad it was over.
Yeah.
And then my advice to guys is put some level of prep into your second one.
Oh yeah.
Because I queued another, I'm like, I got this figured out now. So I queued top rope a month later, and I didn't not prep, but I probably put 5 or 10 minutes into it.
Yeah.
And I kind of fumbled the core principles, and somebody had Steeple was a site queue, so he had to help me out. I'm like, oh shoot, I'm already off to a terrible start.
Yep.
And then we did motivators, and I accidentally did them in cadence. So I just started doing jumping jacks and looking at, and barbershop was staring at me like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
No, I have no idea what's going on. So my second one didn't go as well, but it was a lot. Sometimes you got to fail. So that was a humbling experience, but the VQ was great. And then taking over for site queue. So I had only been to the Helix maybe twice. Yeah. I knew Motorboat a little bit just from seeing him around.
Yeah.
And then
did you, sorry to interrupt, but did you have a chance to take over Combine? That seems like, as I hear your story, that would have been a natural spot, right?
Well, it was probably all of our shield lock was at Combine every week. Star-Lord had been coming out for a longer time. He was the guy for Combine.
He got Combine.
Yeah. Plus, he's a little bit of a harder worker than I am.
Oh,
I think
sure.
So
hardest working AO.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I probably didn't deserve Combine. It went to Star-Lord, who's a great fit.
Yeah.
So then, so Motorboat, it was funny. We were at a daddy-daughter dance. So our girls are in dance, or at least my girls are. He has at least one daughter. And we show up. So as part of the dance recital, there's a daddy-daughter dance, and you have to go to 4 practices. And I walked into the first one, and I look up and I said, Motorboat. We had all these plans on EH and the whole class, and we didn't actually get any of the dads out, but saw him at that dance class. And then a week or two later, maybe he was getting ready to pass the flag, and he texted me and he said, hey, would you like consider being the site queue for Helix? And I said, yeah, I'm in. What do I like everything? I'm like, yeah, I'm in. What do I do? And I mean, if I would have thought about it, I still would have said yes. I maybe should have thought about it a little more, because I was a Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday guy. And I'm like, Tuesday. I've only been there once.
I could add Tuesdays.
I guess I'll figure it out. Yeah. So, but it was, I'm so glad I did it. Yeah. It was a really fun year.
Heck yeah.
Got me out of my comfort zone because I hadn't been there, and I wasn't posting on Tuesdays, and it was a big pre-run site, which I hadn't done a lot
on-site
of that.
coffee too.
On-site
right?
coffee. Yep. Yeah. That was the thing I was the most worried about.
Yeah.
But it became my favorite thing. Yeah. Like I took that. So I like to say I was the Bobby Boucher of on-site coffee. Like that thing
filtered, 100% pure filtered water and everything. Right?
It was cleaned out precisely every week, and I was always up early enough to make sure it had brewed, and it was just really fun to bring it and have some of the guys stick around. That in the winter, not as many guys make it over to Panera. Yeah. So I said, like, in the fall and spring and summer, I'm going to make sure that this coffee is, talked about throughout all of Omaha. Yeah. Maybe I can get a guy to stick around.
Yeah. It is funny. Everybody's got their own routine. It seems like maybe there's some best practices, but did you like set it on a timer the night before, or what was your process for the on-site?
So Helix makes it very easy for you. We have, for sure, the best coffee maker in all of Omaha.
It's been handed down through all the generations.
It looks terrible.
Is it that square one that's like dented?
Yeah. Motorboat used to pull out of Helix and run around the corner. He'd put it in his truck bed. You're like, boom, 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 like, oh, is that the coffee maker? But I think it tastes better since it's all beat up. But no, this thing is you load it up, you put it on a timer, and it brews on its own.
Okay.
I know some guys have rigged up some Christmas light timers or something to set coffee up. So that makes it really. But it's funny. There was probably 10 guys have asked me, like, hey, send me the link for that coffee maker when I had it, and they don't make it anymore.
Oh, wow.
So I made it, and it was like $60 too. So every site should have one of those. But now we have a running joke. We need to spin up a private equity fund to get
just
coffee maker.
Remake the coffee maker. Yeah.
So it was, it made it easy on us to make the coffee, but it was fun to bring it.
What else do you think, when you think about like lessons learned or advice for other guys leading a site, what would you say there?
Yeah, for leading a site, I would say just, I thought for sure the most important part of being a site queue was ready to queue if the queue didn't show up.
Oh yeah.
Turns out that never happened.
Okay.
I had 54 great queues. I was even sick a couple times. So the queue always ran on schedule. That was always made it so easy. So I liked being the greet everybody before they get to the circle
Oh yeah.
kind of guy.
Yeah.
If I see that way, if somebody's new, I know for sure they're new. Make
Yeah.
sure especially if they're carrying a water bottle or something.
Oh,
You're
yeah.
like, you're
Yeah.
a new guy. But make sure if they hadn't been to the Helix or if they're new to F3, that I was one of the first ones to greet them.
Nice.
So I had a lot of fun with that. And I'd try to always pre-run. So I'd kind of mail in the beat down that time. So
Yeah.
I'd make sure to pick up the 6 or just kind of be there as an encourager, ultimately. So I had a lot of fun just kind of leading as an encourager. And then
Yeah.
let the queue handle all the important stuff.
Yeah. Well, and did you go with the model like only let guys queue one time and then that way you had 54 different queues? Is that kind of how it worked out?
I think I did. There was a couple repeats that did me a huge favor. Like
sure.
one time, I know Snare queued maybe a couple times in a month because one of them was New Year's Eve. I think I queued on Christmas Eve. I didn't want to ask him, but he queued on Christmas Eve. But I think he queued, and then he said, "Hey, if you need somebody for New Year's Eve, I'm in." So that was a huge help.
Okay.
And then Reflux queued on a day where it was probably one of the coldest days of the year. I have a picture of us. We did the 5-mile pre-run in -22.
Oh wow.
My face is covered in Vaseline. He has a beard because he's a real man.
Yeah.
I don't. His just has the ice beard. But he queued that day, but it was only me, Reflux, TC, and I think Sandworm. Maybe we were the only ones there. So I'm like, hey, if you want another crack at this, it was a well thought out beatdown.
Yeah.
But hardly anybody came out. So he queued again. But I think those are the only 2 repeats. So
Nice.
I tried to stay 4 weeks out or so I could, if somebody wanted to do a VQ or birthday queue or whatever, it was available. And then I also like to live dangerously. So I'm like, I don't want to have it built out too far.
Yeah.
So, but I think I did okay with getting a lot of unique views.
I love it. Again, just appreciate your leadership and your story. I think it's just so cool to hear, just kind of like looking back. And I would be curious, like anything that maybe we didn't get a chance to cover that you want to make sure that you get a chance to share or get off your chest.
I'll try to think while I start rambling here. I think the first one, especially for me, I'll take some of my own advice, is just to post.
Yeah.
So I had, my schedule kind of changed when I got the Tuesday site queue. And then when I didn't have it, it kind of changed again, but it was almost too flexible.
Yeah.
And I got caught in that trap of, I'm only going to post if I'm going to pre-run. And then I got caught in the trap of, well, I don't want to pre-run because I'm now I'm out of shape. So, or now I'm too tired to pre-run, so I won't even post. Right. So I've been trying to do a better job of posting, just showing up.
Yep.
Honestly, getting up at 5 o'clock isn't not that hard. When you get to late 30s, it's not like you're sleeping anyway. So might as well get up and accomplish something. And it tends to help me. If I'm posting 4 times a week, I'm sleeping. I sleep so well. So I try to force myself. If I think I'm tired when I didn't post, like just get back out there. So that's maybe one piece of advice is just show up.
Yeah.
Like everything in life, just show up. And then sometimes you're going to fumble it terribly, like me leading motivators.
Yeah.
And then you figure it out.
And you learn and you do it better next time, right?
Yeah, for sure. But just overall, I'm just thankful for having guys like you in F3 and what F3 has brought. I like real quick again on the faith component. I really like that we don't, like a lot of Christian guys, obviously, which is great to get to know some of those guys. I like that we don't say you better think like this before you come into the group. Yeah. And nobody's going to convince somebody to think one way or another. To your point, I think we should just challenge each other to like ask the right questions. Yeah. And I think part of being a Christian is I don't know if it's somebody's name or what, but wrestle with God. Is that forget somebody's name is translated that or something like that. Somebody in the Bible, like God designed us. He knows we don't have it figured out, and so we should ask the questions and wrestle with them and try to figure it out in a complex world. So I like that we give. I don't think you have to. I hope guys don't think they have to think a very certain way before we accept them. Yeah, they're going to show up, and we're going to, be there for whatever they may need. Yeah. Yeah. Maybe you're thinking of Jacob, right? Who wrestled with God until God gave him a new name, and then he named him Israel. There you go. And the reason I love that story. I love that story because
it's so reflective of like just how our lives go, right? And I think one of the things that I'm learning currently is like, well, where do you wrestle? So if I wrestle just with like myself and God, that's good. But then like, who else do I go to sort of talk through that even in more depth? And I think F3 is a perfect spot for that. So I love it. Again, just thank you so much for taking time to share your story. I think where we like to kind of wrap up is like current state, as you're thinking about life and all the things, where do you currently need prayers and support and encouragement?
You know what's funny is I listened to all these podcasts and I had things I wanted to talk about and I forgot to think about this one. I would say, I would love to be a better husband and a better father. I think at this point in my life, that's obviously I want to have a successful career and do things well there. But when I think about the dash on my tombstone, I want to make sure that I was the best husband I could have been and best father I could have been. So there's a lot of like incredible dads in F3 that, we have the benefit of getting coffee with guys that are further down the road.
Yes.
Like Mr. Rogers has 4 girls. So I get to ask him like, hey man, what do I do? And he's like, hey, I've had 3 that have already been through that stage. Let me tell you exactly what you need to do here.
Yeah.
And Chicken Hawk and some of those guys that are just able to give that advice. So I would say, that's what I'm trying to look for is just have guys that will help me be a better husband, better father. And I would encourage guys to get, if that's what they're looking for, to get out and ask the right questions to not even the right questions, ask questions to the guys that are certainly willing to help.
Yeah. I love it. Solid. Well, I'll be thinking about it. Maybe we start a girl dad club or something.
I think we should.
It would be awesome. We've been reading all these books on like how to be a better Christian man, and then some books on like the formation of boys into men. And I'm like, well, I need some guys that I can go, like how does, as a father, like Strong Fathers, Strong Daughters, right? Is always a book. I don't know if you've heard of that one, but it essentially talking through like, how do you parent girls? And so that's maybe an opportunity there. But again, thanks for taking time to just talk us through your story. I know guys will be impacted by it. We'll do a little Namo to end us up here. Brandon Fleehardy, 39, The Plague.
Drew Stouter, 39, Summer Catch.
And do we have a call sign for you?
We there's not an official one. Some of the guys will cat call me a little bit, which really makes me feel a lot better. I'm like, oh man. Yeah. I think it's was it Check Please will give me a little cat call or TC, I think so. I always appreciate that. Thank you guys for that.
I think the way it happened for me, I think Griswold like randomly came up with the scream, and then I just had to really lean in, and then once you lean into it, then other guys will follow suit. So just we'll come up with is it a whistle or is it?
It is like a. Okay. Although that's pantyhoses though, so I definitely don't want to steal that one. I'm okay not having a call sign. I love the call signs though; they're so funny.
You have to rewatch that movie and see if there's something in the movie.
Maybe there's something in there.
Yeah. Appreciate it, brother.
Thank you.
On our hands, hope in our chest. We're not defined by the weight of the test. Brothers in step, we carry the flame. Different roads, but the heart beats the same. Every man's got a story to tell. From the valley low to the mountaintop, yeah. Every man's got a story inside. Standing strong, we won't hide. Every man's got a story. We've been broken, we've been bruised, but we rise again and we don't get to choose. Through the fire, through the fight, every man's story burns in the night. Scars on our hands, hope in our chest. We're not defined by the weight of the test. Brothers in step, we carry the flame. Different roads, but the heart beats the same. On a story to tell, from the valley low to the mountaintop, yell. Every man's got a story inside. Different roads, but the heart beats the same. Every man's got a story to tell. From the valley low to the mountaintop, yeah. Every man's got a story inside. Standing strong, we won't hide. Every man's got a story. Every man's got a story. voices rise like thunder, they roll. Truth in the pain, it's shaping the soul. Chains may rattle, but they break in time. Every man's story is yours and mine. From the struggle to the glory, every man's got a story. In the dark or in the light, we keep marching through the night. Every man's got a story inside. Every man's got a story to tell. From the valley low to the mountaintop hill, every man to the mountaintop hill. Every man's got a story inside. Standing strong, we won't hide. Every